Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown, Dunkirk, and Westfield, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Happy Saturday, everybody, and hello around the world. Thanks for joining me. I'm Doc Hamels. You're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. We are also... You'll find us on YouTube, you'll find us on Facebook, you'll find us everywhere, including Spectrum Channel 1301. We are live today, so if you do have a question or a comment, give us a call. How do you do it? 716-753-5225. 716-753-5225. Why would you call? You may have a question for my guest. You may have an announcement for your club or organization, right? Good Lord. Your club or organization may be opening up some special events. A lot of the organizations around town are finally able to do chicken barbecues. They're doing fundraisers. They're having live music or whatever. We are here to share that information with the county. We are here to share that with you, and it's free of charge. How do you do it? Call that number. My very fine friend, Randy Burt, picks up the phone. He'll pump you through some type of wire that comes through the wall, and I can hear you. It's called a speaker. And or he'll write it down, and they hand it to me, and I'll get to read it for you. So it's not a problem whatsoever. So please, give us a call. I want to remind you also that if you're in Jamestown, Tuesdays at 1 o'clock, you can listen to this show and every week on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people, Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. So check it out. And if you're listening right now, thanks a lot. All right. Well, the weather has been the topic of the week, hasn't it? My wife said, you need to get all those winter clothes and put them away. I go, you just know, as soon as I do, I'm going to need them. And wouldn't you know it, it was like 40 degrees this morning. The dog didn't want to get out of bed. He didn't want to go outside. And I was bundled up and wishing I had my winter coat again, but it's going to get warm again. Crazy, crazy weather here. We were talking earlier, we complain about the rain, we complain about it's too dry, we complain about everything. Well, as we know, Chautauqua County is like that, but it's going to be really nice this weekend. It sounds like cool, but nice. And then the week is going to be in the 70s, so good stuff. want to mention that if you get the newspapers, there was a booklet this week on Chautauqua events, tourism, things like that. And I encourage you to hang on to that. Throughout the summer, there's different events that are popping up. And if you're new to Chautauqua County, or if you're visiting for the year or for the season or whatever, good stuff is happening in this county. Even now that the pandemic is still with us, things, like I said, are loosening up, and there's great information. Chautauqua County is just a great place to live. We've got art galleries, we've got live music, great restaurants, we've got museums, we've got the comedy center there. We've got places just all over the place, little nooks and crannies that you can go visit. There's some of them are live events outside, some of them are, places you can visit and so forth. Hiking, fishing, camping, kayaking, all that good stuff. I don't know what more you want out of an area that you can visit or live in. It's just a great place to live. So if you're first time here, welcome. If you're back, welcome back. And if you're a resident like me, don't sit in front of the TV with your iPad. Get out and go do something, okay? All right, so there's a good manual on that. We got Memorial Day weekend here before us. It's starting out a little bit wet, but it looks pretty good. So I know you're going to have some get-togethers this weekend. We are as well. Keep in mind, if you haven't been vaccinated, wear those masks. Keep socially distanced. If you had your vaccine, good for you. And encourage those that haven't had their vaccines, my opinion only, get vaccinated. It opens up doors and it feels safe when you're with other folks. Okay, I have some announcements to share with you, and then we're going to get to my guests who are anxiously waiting to come on. So let's see what we got here. All right. Baseball. I'll talk about that a little bit. We mentioned this before, but the Tarp Skunks over in Jamestown, they're starting their baseball season on June 10th. That's going to be pretty cool. If you haven't been to the stadium in a long time, it's great there. And you might say, well, I'm not going over there. The COVID's raging on. Well, the good news is there's two ways you can enter that place. You can go with your mask and do social distancing, or if you're like me and some of my friends here at the studio, we have on our phones, we've downloaded the New York State Excelsior Pass application on our phones. And you might say, well, I'm not doing that. They're gonna grab my personal information, they're gonna share it with the world. Well, no. This information you've already shared if you've got your vaccine. What does it ask for? You go on, you drop the thing onto your phone, get the app, okay, and it asks you like your name, first name and last name, your date of birth. Well, you had to give that when you got your vaccine. When was the date of the last vaccine? The Tarp Skunks. And then also, I think maybe the type of vaccine you got. I can't remember exactly. That was it. And you're already in a database, and what it does, it downloads it, puts it into a code on your phone. And so when you go to the Tarp Skunks, you just pull this out, you bring up that little app, and it has a code, and they go beep, beep, and they let you in. They know that you are vaccinated, and you can sit in an area where you don't have to have a mask or social distance. For those that choose not to get vaccinated, you still can go, but you got to wear a mask and you got to sit away from the others. And they're going to have two different areas. So Tarp Skunks are coming to town on June 10th. That's pretty exciting. That's not very far from now. Also want to mention that if you are a kayaker, there are 5 different areas, 5 different lakes that you can go kayaking. You got Lake Erie, Lake Chautauqua, Findlay Lake, Casadega Lake, and Bear Lake. And they got some really nice points of entry that you can use, and those are on various websites, but that's kind of new. So check that out if you're a kayaker. Also, we mentioned last time about masking. To mask or not to mask is the question. This is my rule of thumb. If you're in a group like today, all of us are vaccinated in the studio, we're not wearing our mask. All right, you go to a restaurant and the sign says wear a mask, wear the mask. You sit down, take it off. If you go to the supermarket, they say wear the mask, wear the mask. Real simple. Other places you go to, says it's up to you. Like I go to my local credit union, don't have to wear a mask, it's up to me. So be courteous, be kind, be respectful, follow the home rule of whatever it is, and we're gonna get through this. It's getting easier and easier and easier. Just hang in there, guys. Okay, next one. This is a market calendar because this is coming up towards the end of the month. We've got a chicken barbecue. Prevention Works, our friends over there, are doing a fundraiser. It's Chevetta's Chicken Barbecue, and it's going to be held on Wednesday, June 23rd from 3:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's going to be at the Masonic Forest Lodge at 329 East Main Street in Fredonia. And it's $12 dinner, including half chicken, 2 sides in a roll with butter. Pickup only, okay? And as you know, Prevention Works was formed in 1974, used to be called CASIC. It's a, a United Way partner agencies, provided social emotional learning and the prevention of risky behaviors in Chautauqua County school districts in our local communities and so forth. If you want more information, give them a call at 664-3608 or 366-4623. Okay, so they're having a fundraiser, so if you feel like buying some chicken and supporting a great cause, do it. Okay, also from Prevention Works, let's go right to slide 15, Jeff. We've got, here we go, I can do this, the Triple P Positive Parenting Program. Say that 10 times fast. Triple P Positive Parenting Program. I practice these things. Their free 2-hour discussion groups can help you in what ways? First, identify some of the reasons of the problem behavior, including parent traps. Keep track of the problem behavior. How many times does this happen? Is this a one-time only, or does it like repeat all the time? Use positive parenting strategies for preventing the problem behavior and encouraging good behavior. I've mentioned in the past, this is some of the stuff I used to teach to parent groups and teacher groups and administrator groups and bus driver groups. These kids, they like to really pull your chain hard. You can figure it out. There's good ways to get around that and have fun doing it as well. Use positive parenting strategies for dealing with the problem behavior if it happens. So basically, being prepared and continue to refine your parenting plan. I used to tell parents, you know, you got, what do you do if this happens? What are you going to do about that? And so forth. So anyways, you got to be prepared. Kids have a tendency to get us a little wound up. Each of the sessions you can do as a standalone or as part of a series. So there's 4 different ones, and let's see. The first one is June 7th, and it's called Dealing with Disobedience. This is for parents of children 0 to 12, and it's from 12 p.m. noon to 2 p.m. Almost all of theirs are about that time, and the cost is free because it's on Zoom. What could be easier? You sit down, you turn on your computer or your iPad, your phone, and you can participate right then and there. The following week, June 14th, is called Managing Fighting and Aggression. Same group of parents, same time, same cost. June 28th, same thing, but this is called Developing Good Bedtime Routines. I'm not going to bed. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Are you out of that bed again? I just put you in bed 6 times. How many times I got to put you in the bed? 14 and a half. All right. Cost is free, June 28th, noon to 2. And then my favorite, classic, hassle-free shopping with children. The kid that throws himself on the floor and screams in the middle of the supermarket, "You don't love me anymore. You're not buying my chocolate milk." Yeah, and then it just goes on and on. What do you do? It's so embarrassing, you know. And then you look like the worst parent in the world because this kid is letting out a blood-curdling scream. July 12th, 12 to noon, again, free of charge. Okay, and then let's see what else we got here. I want to remind you also that the Ripley Library, if you haven't been to the library in a while in Ripley, it is gorgeous. They've just spent lots of money through lots of grants and funding sources, and it's going to be open soon, but you can do a sneak look in there because they're putting books on the shelves, but it's absolutely gorgeous. You won't recognize the library. I'll tell you, it's just a thing of beauty, and you're going to be so proud of your community library. So make sure you get down there and check it out. And if you're not from Ripley, that's okay too. Okay, this is from the Chamber of Commerce about Memorial Day, and I'm just going to read it kind of quick just to let you know what's going on. But there's events that I mentioned that you can see in the book, but this is kind of a little quick thing that you might want to know about. Okay, Memorial Day is always a time for us to pay our respects to those who have served our country and those that have made the ultimate sacrifice for our democracy. This is them speaking now. We hope you'll take time this weekend to honor them. Okay, it's not just about hot dogs and drinking beverages. It's, you should take some time to think about What does it all mean? Memorial Day weekend is always the unofficial start of the summer season here in our part of the country. And wow, the summer lineup of things to do coming back is strong, like we said earlier. From what was an unusual past year, the summer will present all Chautauqua County residents and visitors with plenty of opportunities for recreation, relaxation, and entertainment. The list of events that will be held is growing daily. It includes an in-person summer season at Chautauqua Institution. I just learned that myself the other day. Chautauqua Institution is going to have things going on, which opens June 26th with an amphitheater performance by Grammy Award winner Chris Thiel. I don't know how to say it, Thile. And closes August 28th with the iconic performance of, this one I do know, Smokey Robinson. Oh, great voice. In the Jamestown area, the National Comedy Center is hosting a series of Riverside Saturday events that include outdoor movie presentations at the Comedy Center Park and additional entertainment in place of the postponed annual comedy festival. In addition, the Gary Rodeo will be back this year, August 4th through 7th, and they're going to be on my show in July. Paul Cooley, he was telling me he wasn't sure they're going to have the rodeo. Now, here it is. You just heard it here first, I guess. The Tarp Skunks, of course, we talked about at the Russell Dietrich Park, starts on June 10, and the Babe Ruth World Series will be held August 14th to the 21st. In Mayville, you got the Chautauqua Lake Pops is offering live entertainment on the floating stage each weekend through the summer beginning July 10th. The Mayville Community Chamber of Commerce will host free live music in the park on Thursdays beginning July 8th. I've played there. The Celtic Festival is coming up again, August 27 and 28 at Lakeside Park. In Westfield, the popular First Friday and street fairs organized by the Westfield Barcelona Community Chamber will resume June 4th and continue each month through September. I've played there. The Westfield YWCA Arts and Crafts Festival will resume this year. I've played there. July 30th to 31st. I play everywhere at Moore Park. These are great things, and there's live music a lot of times and just good stuff, lots of good food. In the Dunkirk, Fredonia region, there will be lots happening as well. The Strawberry Festival is slated for June 12th through the 13th. If you want me to play, you can call me. State Winery, I've done that one. In Forestville, America's Grape Country Wine Festival is August 6th through the 8th at the Chautauqua County Fairgrounds in Dunkirk. The Fredonia Farm Festival will be held August 27th through the 28th. Of course, as I've been hinting at, look for live music at numerous local venues such as the Big Inlet, where I play quite often, wineries, breweries, and park pavilions throughout the summer. Great place, lots of music here, such talent. In addition, there is no shortage of outdoor recreation opportunities, including golf, boating, fishing, hiking, bicycling, if the weather gets better, camping, and much more. More communities will host farmers markets throughout the summer months, and for a complete list of events, you can go to the Chautauqua County Visitors Bureau web calendar, or you can go to tourchautauqua.com. And remember, a lot of local restaurants, local shops, and all kinds of local businesses are there to provide some really good services for you. Now, I'll make sure I got everything covered here. I think I do. So, we're going to take a little breather, and we'll be right back. This is for you.
The strength of our country hasn't just been won on the battlefield. It's won every day in our communities when we come together in our toughest times. For over 100 years, the American Legion has been strengthening communities by providing life-saving help and support to our veterans and neighbors during our nation's toughest times.
It's what the Legion's all about.
We are the American Legion, veterans strengthening America. To learn how you can help, visit legion.org.
Okay, and we're back. People often say, well, how do I get my guests? And it comes in a variety of ways. Sometimes I read an article and I say, I'd like to know more about that. Someone I'll run into and they'll be telling me about what they're doing. I say, hey, you need to be on my show. Or then sometimes I'm sitting watching TV and my phone dings and someone says, hey, I know somebody that might want to be on your show. Are you interested? And it's Scott Robert. He's done this to me twice now. And the first time I said, yeah, sure. And the gentleman came on and we talked about the UCAN mission down in Jamestown, and he ended up being the sheriff. So there could be something in the store for you guys. So Scott mentioned that he had these individuals that are doing some really special work up in the Brockton area, and doing crisis intervention and working with folks that are really hard on their luck, I'm assuming. And the best part of what I do here on the show is I meet people for the first time and I get to ask them questions because I don't know anything about what you do, but I know it's important work. So I want to introduce and welcome Reverend Stewart Thompson and his wife Tammy, who founded something called Breathe the Life of Western New York.
Yes.
Do I have everything right so far?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Whew, I did my homework. Okay, so may I call you Stu?
Yes.
And Tammy, is that okay?
That's right.
Okay. You're not from around here.
No.
I kind of guess from a little slight accent. So it sounds like sort of like maybe a little bit south of here. So tell us a little about yourselves, and what you want to share.
Well, we both grew up in Pennsylvania. Myself in a little town called Sugar Grove, which some of you may be very familiar
that's not
with.
that far away.
I grew up in Sugar Grove, but God brought me to pastor a little church, a Free Methodist church in Brockton in the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s. And that's how I got familiar with this area, other than just running around here as a teenager. And because, we're about, 40 minutes from Sugar Grove, so it's in
So
and
what
out.
school do you go to, Corey?
I went to Eisenhower.
Oh,
High
Eisenhower,
School.
I know where that is.
Yes, yeah. Over near Russell,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
957 or
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly
Yes,
where that is.
Yes. That's my stomping grounds.
Will Russell of Russell, he was my musical partner for years. I used to have to go out that way. Just right at Thompson Road there, you make a right, and Eisenhower's on the left.
Exactly.
You
Yes.
see, you think I just make this stuff up? I really do know what I'm talking about. That's a pretty area there.
It is a beautiful area.
Yeah. So, Tammy,
I grew up just south of Erie, so actually Erie is more like home to me, but I grew up as a teenager in Wattsburg.
the Wattsburg Fair.
That's right, that's right. And then met Stewart through pastor friends that we had, and he was already pastoring in Brockton when we got married. And so we lived in Brockton. Our oldest two kids are born there in Brockton, and we moved to Lexington, Kentucky, so that might be where some of that little bit of
There's
southern.
a little bit of something in there.
Yeah.
We lived there for about 16 years.
Well, that'll do it, yeah.
That's right. Stewart was
Wow.
working on his education, and we both got degrees, and here we are. We got called back to Brockton, which was a surprise to all of us.
How do you get called back? How's that work?
Well, that's a short story from a long one. When I was pastoring the Free Methodist Church in Brockton, it shared the parking lot with the St. Stephen's Bar at the time. And the bar owns that, but it would allow us on Sunday mornings to use that to park.
Okay.
And have our
Under
services.
off hours.
Yeah, yeah. And so one day I walked out of the church, and God or the Holy Spirit just said to me, that building needs to live up to its name. And it's probably the first time I recognized its name was St. Stephen's.
I've always wondered about that.
And in my brain I'm going, yeah, Stephen is the first martyr of the Christian faith. And it struck me, who names a bar that way? Sounds wrong.
St. Elmo.
Yeah, so it's just interesting. I always thought,
Well, what is the history behind it?
well, the history, as we've found out, is a father and mother, a husband and wife owned it, and they had a son named Stephen who
Okay.
died. So it's named after him.
It's like St. Susan's Food Kitchen. It was
Right.
named after a young lady named Susan, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that's more to the story of it. But in my brain, what it was,
Yeah,
okay,
you were
God,
seeing it differently.
if it has to live up to this name, then somebody has to own that operates it in a way to bring hope and revitalization and life back to this area. And so over the years, so that was probably mid of my time there, of my 7 years there. Over the years, that just sort of grew. I went home, I told Tammy, we started praying into it, and then God moved us away. But we kept saying, God, someday, who's going to own this thing? We kept praying into it. My wife's, we'd been there, I don't know, 15 years at the time. she started having dreams. And she woke up one morning and said, if God asked us to go back to Brockton, would you do that? And I thought, well, it would have to be God.
Which
To be God. Not anybody else. It would have to be God.
Now
part
hear
of
this.
that, when we left New York, Western New York, I never had any intentions of coming back. There was no love lost when I left here. Snow, cold. It felt socially like the community was more cold. So there was no love lost when I left Western New York. So it was when we felt like this was something that God was asking us to come back and do, it wasn't necessarily about people. My first question was, but it snows there. Like, that was the only concern I had, was not wanting to come back to the weather patterns up here. So.
But my heart was back here. I loved living there.
Yeah.
And the people that I got to do life with and ministry with. And so she began asking that question, and I'm like, well, I don't see us. We loved Lexington, Kentucky, where we were doing life and ministry at the time, and I'd gotten a master's in counseling and was doing pastoral counseling there and running recovery ministries. And so I just loved what I was doing, but went away on a retreat with a group of pastors to pray about what's the next 5 years look like for that area. And God started talking to me about Brockton and Chautauqua County. And I said, what are you doing, God? And he said, I want you to go back, go buy the bar.
Yeah. Very cool.
I thought, okay.
It's like build an ark. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm a cook. I'm not a carpenter.
right, exactly.
Wow.
And so I came home from the retreat, told my wife, this is what God's saying to me.
And you have been having visions and dreams, right?
And it looked
Inklings.
like, it was, there were more things, and conversation with friends that we still had via social media. Interestingly enough, when I specifically asked and said, is there anything substantial in Brockton, the surrounding areas, that's dealing with addictions across the board and as a whole? And the person, when they responded, literally without even knowing, had literally in a messenger outlined everything that, like, what this place needs, this is what could be done, and literally word for word outlined what we had already been talking about, what we had been
It was a good match.
writing down. Yeah, there was no, and this person, other than some social media interaction, had no way of knowing. And so it was just a confirmation that things that we had perceived and saw at the late 90s, early 2000s, we just knew that there was some heartbreak there. We worked with a lot of teenagers and just saw some things within families, and we just really had a heart and compassion for Brockton. So it just really was kind of, I believe, a way for our hearts to be willing to, we basically sold everything that we had, sold it and left everything that we had to be able to come back up here. Yeah.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah.
I kind of say this from time to time when I'm talking to folks like you, in this vein, okay?
Yeah.
Not like you, but I mean, when we're on these kinds of topics about people, of their issues and things, I've got really good friends. My wife and I have really good friends in Europe, relatives, and we sit down, after all the party or whatever, the quiet moments where it's 11 o'clock at night, you're just sitting around talking, get down to the nitty gritty. Everybody's dealing with the same stuff.
Yeah.
Regardless of if it's Lexington, the middle of Germany, Chautauqua County, wherever. Addiction, crisis, problems are everywhere in our lives around us. And so we're not singling out Brockton here, that's just where you landed. But I mean, I don't know how Lexington was, but I'm sure there was similar issues, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stu, you mentioned recovery ministry. What does that mean?
Well, it meant just working and running groups for people, setting up places where if people came to a place they realized they needed help, they could find a community. And underlying that is simply an idea, if people find a safe place to begin dealing with the things in life that have held them, that they want to be free of, they'll begin to take that risk. And so it was just that opportunity. Sometimes it'd be sitting down in my office with me for a 45-minute, 50-minute session and just talking about what was bothering them, what was holding them back from choosing to seek things they wanted but felt that they couldn't do. So a lot of times that's what it was just walking life with people.
Okay, so help me now. So you've come back to the area, you're living in Brockton. Are you the pastor of a church there?
No.
So
Actually,
you're not associated with a church itself.
The
You
irony-
are in the bar.
Right, exactly.
All right, so
And
help me understand
that goes
this.
outside a lot of people's ideas.
Not for me. I get it.
I had several people say, well, are you going to pastor a church? Are you going to play in a church? And I'm like, no. And as more I talked to God about it, he said, no, I want you to be free to pastor anybody and everybody in the area.
Yeah.
And
Pastoring is a process. It's not a
about
place.
a building
Yeah.
or a group of people. It's about a heart for people and connecting them to the God of the Bible and not just churches.
Now, do you own St. Stephen's?
We,
Or
well,
in the process
technically,
there?
we formed a nonprofit called Breathe Life of Western New
hence
York.
Breathe Life.
And in that process, they're the ones that own the building.
All right, so who's they?
There's a
Breathe
board.
Life.
We actually have a board of directors that before we even made the move, we had made some connections with people that are local. They're local here, knew us, know the area, have some expertise in either social work or within the church environment. And so there's a board of directors that specifically makes decisions. Breathe Life 100% owns the building, owns the property. Matter of fact, there's a for-profit business, St. Stephen's Café LLC. It's to help with the sustainability of offering community, but then providing jobs to local people, but at the same time taking care of the overhead of the building and joining in. So there's a sustainability component to that. But we are one of 6 directors that gets to make the decision. So actually Breathe Life owns the building, although as co-founders we basically kind of started the wheels running and kind of put those pieces together.
So you are on the board?
Yes.
We are.
And you hire yourself, or how does that work?
No, we actually we are actually on and we are very, very invested, but we don't receive any payment from Breathe Life. So there's no compensation, no wages that we receive. None of our board of directors do. So the only employees that we actually have are through the St. Stephen's Café LLC, and they actually generate all of their own sales and pay all their own wages. So really what that does is that gives Breathe Life, anything that comes into Breathe Life, contributions, donations, grants, is the intent of it is to pour it right back into people. So if it's housing and accommodation, if it's counseling, mentoring, coaching, if it's just community involvement, then that way a lot of the funds aren't sucked up into trying to take care of administration and overhead.
Wow. So Breathe Life is a relatively new organization, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, we are 3 years. 3 years young as February.
Okay. I've never heard of you until Scott messaged me that night. So you're located in Brockton.
Correct.
Yes.
You're in St. Stephen's Café. We'll call it Café now.
Right.
Is that?
It is.
But it's
That's
not.
right.
It's no longer called the hotel or
No.
whatever it's called.
No.
All right. So it's renamed. And if someone were to visit there, they could buy a cup of coffee.
Yep.
What else they buy?
Coffee, food, baked goods.
What kind of food?
Oh,
we like to
okay.
eat here, don't we?
A pretty full menu.
We really,
Really?
yeah. Our entire menu can be found at ststevenscafe.com. It's a live interactive. People can buy online, which, to be quite honest with you, was a huge lifeline, not only to us, but to several others when the pandemic hit. We have a drive-through. And so we have full-on coffee service. We have everything from specialty drinks to brew bars to teas.
Tea's good.
Yeah, you name it. We've got it. But then food is everything from burgers to salads to spaghetti dinners. We do a huge fish fry on Fridays, and so it was one of the things we just really wanted to offer, kind of like an American kind of cafe kind of situation. A friend of mine had a cafe in the next town over when we lived in Lexington, and my office was out of my house, but if I was meeting with people, I met at the cafe, and a lot of times I would get my coffee and be there for a while and get my salad. So we really just wanted to bring that avenue back to Brockton, and maybe bring some foot traffic back to a small community.
What's the capacity for seating if you were 100%? Let's go there. If you were at 100% in New York State and the pandemic rules have changed.
Yeah, if we were at full capacity, we could probably seat 80 people probably to eat. Now, in our resource room, which is the old dining room, that's what we use for Breathe Life. So we have workshops and trainings. We have prayer and worship and some different events that we hold in there. That one, actually, if we had just seating, like auditorium type seating, we could actually do about 80 in the dining room itself. Which,
I've never been in the building, so it's a pretty big building then.
Yeah, it's a 13,000 square foot building. In its day, in 1865, this was just after the Civil War, it was actually called the American Hotel. And it was on the trolley line between Pittsburgh to Buffalo.
Right.
And so that was a stopping place. So there were actually 24 hotel rooms in this building. And over time, a lot of them have been pretty dilapidated, and the third floor really is kind of glorified storage. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's a pretty good size building, and we continue to keep moving in its purposes and wanting to use it and give it back to using for people and community. So.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So we have a cafe that people go to, they eat, drink, whatever.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that supports Breathe Life?
It helps. One of the things that nonprofit ministries struggle with is the overhead.
Yeah.
And everything you donate to them tends to get sucked up into that. So in putting a cafe/restaurant there, they help carry the overhead. So then what people donate to the ministry can go actually back into the community and back into doing, like providing free counseling to people through pastoral counseling to people. Providing, we don't take tips in our coffee shop or restaurant.
Why?
If people want to give tips, it goes into a kitty that we call Pay It Forward.
Gotcha.
Right. So our biggest, when we first came in, it was our family. My oldest son was an adult, chose to move with us, left his job, came and gave us a year and helped actually set up the coffee shop. So when we first hit into Brockton, it was a family of 5. It was us, and we had one local young man who just really felt not entitled, but just really understood the mission and the vision. And he came and worked with us for the first 6 months as if it was his job and got paid nothing. He volunteered. And so it was just us that volunteered, to the point now that there's been enough sales, enough generated through the cafe, and they have enough money that we actually have 8 employees and 3 volunteers. And the cafe has gotten to the place that it is sustaining its own repairs, its own utilities, its own expenses, and its own labor. So, and this is in a community of about 1,300 people. So part of that has been a blessing, and they're all local. They're all local people that are employees that are from the area that we employed. My son has moved on, my one daughter's in college, and we've actually stepped back. We're only in basically on Fridays when it's really super busy. But what we decided at that point was we didn't want to have to deal with tips and have to kind of walk that line with tips and reporting it. and we weren't getting paid anyways. And so our decision was, how do we deal with that, and what do we do, because people feel compelled to do it.
Yes.
And so what we did is we just set up donation box, and we also knew from us doing youth work years ago, many of the youth and many of the family units don't have the opportunity to have those kind of treats that you would get at a coffee or a baked good or whatever. And so what we started doing is we just decided we're just going to do, for every $5 that gets donated is going to be a pay it forward. And we're going to just submit that, and we have a board, and so we just started giving students, kids, individuals the outline. You can have one a week. If there's one up there, you can have at it. And so what we wanted to do is give that back to the students so that they had a safe place, a community place. They could come hang out and just be free to be them while they're visiting. So the community has been so very, very good that even though we are actually making enough to be able to give these $5 drinks back to as many as maybe 25 to 30 students a week that we have coming in to be able to get these drinks. But to be quite honest with you, I just dispersed this last quarter, we're dispersing $2,700 out to the community of Brockton and Portland community. That is the organizations, individuals, and anything that we see within that area. We're giving, we take the patrons' money that we're soliciting, it goes back into the organizations, such as maybe making contributions to kids' sports, to the seniors that are graduating, to the cemetery organization, to the fire departments. There's a new nonprofit that's coming through that's actually from one of our founding people in town called Horns of Hope. It's kind of like Share a Dream. We're donating and making sure that we're giving funds to them to help them as a new organization. So it's one of those things that we just really wanted to use it as an avenue, yes, to be Christ-centered, yes, to be an organization that was like a parachurch organization, but really just being able to sow good works as St. Stephen's. That was his job, good works into the community and the people and the widowed, the kids, the franchised. If you look him up in scripture, that's what he was about. And that's what we have been trying to do is that we feed back into the community at the same time we're doing skills, employment. I personally want to see foot traffic. Brockton in its day was awesomely busy. Just all of the businesses, the Pullman car, manufacturing.
All that Lakeshore area was
Yes.
the same way,
Yeah.
Ripley and
Yeah.
Westfield.
And so
Brockton.
if there's a product that we could bring, and that's why we chose a good, excellent product, and we try to do everything we do with excellence. And we're not foolproof. We make mistakes, but we just really wanted to try to bring the more foot traffic and more people that could stop at Brockton. And we just feel that could sow maybe some other areas of maybe economic development and other families, maybe community involvement. And we're just doing the small things that we're hoping could maybe be seeds.
I'm sitting here going like, why don't I know this until today? I mean, this is so cool. I mean, like I said to you before the show, we talk about the good stuff here in Chautauqua County. It's obviously not good. This is excellent. This is like beyond good. So you got the restaurant. I got that part. And I know you do something else. But what do you do Monday through Thursday? You guys.
Oh, we work.
Doing what?
We work. So part of the other side of that is
There we go.
the ministry side of
Okay.
that, right? The breathe life side of life. So part of the deal we're here for, those two connect very well. Things that happen within the cafe are surprising. During the pandemic, we closed down the in-house. You couldn't come in,
Right.
but we had a drive-through. So people started coming through the drive-through. We would have people wait in the drive-through because they wanted prayer. They needed prayer, and they knew we were a place they could get prayer. People come into our cafe, we greet them, we talk with them, ask how life's going, and from time to time, I'll be out there or they'll be back in our offices, and I have the opportunity to pray with them, to do ministry with them. Part of what breathe, that actual word, is an acronym for us.
Okay.
It's actually tells what we're about, that we want to breathe, meaning we think it's been a while since that area of New York has taken a deep breath, a cleansing breath. Because life is all about, you got to keep moving or just get snuffed. But we feel like people need to relax and be able to breathe and feel hope again. And that's part of what God asked for. The other parts are renew. We want to see things renew and come alive again. Does that make sense? Breathe life.
Yeah.
We want to engage the community. There are so many resources that are here in Chautauqua County. We want to bring into this area, to the northern side of the county, to bring into the areas where you have a lot of people that struggle to get to things. So we want to use our building to bring things. And as a result, like we had seminars on human trafficking. And the people were saying, well, that's not here.
Not here.
And we're
It
going,
doesn't happen here.
It's everywhere. After that, we
Not in
had
my backyard.
70 plus people in that
Yeah.
resource room for that event. And then afterwards, we had people calling and saying, well, what can we do? So we hook with social services agencies
Gotcha.
any way we can. We want to see, we feel that once you engage, there's atonement that can be done. And I know that's sort of a Bible term, but meaning there's repair that can be done. There's a lot of wounds.
Is it atonement or at one-man?
Yeah, same thing. It's bringing back together those wounds. There's families that are wounded. There's people that are just deep, and the pandemic hasn't helped us.
No.
Deep wounds that are wide open. So part of our ministry, it's not about just being in that building. It's about we want to be able to breathe life into the area. And then there's to transform. We think that there's transformation that needs to happen within Chautauqua County. We think the residents want to see it. And I think they've been working hard to do it. And so we're beginning
You're the
to
vehicle now.
see those things.
Yeah.
Well, if the Lord's willing and people join, yes, that's what we want to be. And then we want to see healing, and then we want to equip people. One of the things we recognized when pastoring here was some of our people just needed skills.
Right.
If we gave them skills and said, you can do it, what's the best thing a parent can do to their kid? Speak into what they're gifted at and tell them, don't let it just knock you down. Get back up, dust yourself off. You can do this. So we want to be that place. So we have an internship program now within Breathe Life and the St. Stephen's that people can intern with us, and we're working with organizations to bring interns. Scott Roberts we met because of an intern that we brought, and he worked with us. Turns out he and Scott are connected. So he said, hey, Scott, you got to meet this guy. Then Scott and I sat down and started talking. So that's what we're doing. That's where
Sounds kind of
the
busy.
ministry is. Yeah, it keeps us busy.
Job security.
And
Not worried about
we
that.
are in an 1865 building, and
true.
so there's always something to be done. There's always work to be done. There's things that we're doing. It's amazing how many sins a coat of paint can cover up. So there's just, I mean, so when you say what are we doing? I mean, there's all kinds of practical things that we're doing. At the same time, we are being very, very specific in networking, making sure that we are connecting with human services. We have a lot of social workers and even within the drug court, and said, you know what, we're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. We are Christ-centered, we are faith-based, but if there is someone that you're working with and they are recognizing there is a spiritual component and a faith-based component, we're kind of like some of the people I've always seen like wrestlers on the mat. when the person is wrestling and they're on the mat, a lot of times they need the coach who's like, you can do this, turn this way, do that. I've always felt that that's really kind of where we excelled well, is that we want to walk with people right where they're at. No judgment, no criticalness. We're not surprised by the depth of dirtiness that sometimes happens to be on the inside core, but sometimes people need a place that they can share that and then have someone who's willing to walk with them. And so a lot of what we're trying to do is just making connections so that we can not only be a resource and a help to the churches that are in the area, but at the same time really networking and connecting with social services and human services within Chautauqua County, because we just want to be kind of like ready on the go. If someone has that connection, and they would be a good connection.
Yeah, call this person.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Stu, top 3 issues
In
the area. We just won't say
in
Brockton.
the
The area.
area?
Top 3
Okay.
issues that you're dealing with.
Well, probably top 3 lately have been emotional issues with the pandemic. People just saying, hey, people have died and people are grieving.
Yeah.
So can I come and chat with you about grief? Sure.
There's not a
Come
lot
on,
of
we'll
closure
pray
going
about
on right
that.
now.
Right.
Helping, that actually would be part of that. Really, ways people cope with life, which we tend to call addictions. But I would look at them with a more graceful way and say, these are really coping skills that people have picked up that have become something that binds them. And now they want free and they're tormented. And so helping people do that.
In my world, we used to call them defense mechanisms.
Right, exactly, same idea.
Yeah.
And then probably the other is just a need for hope. People want to know there's another answer to the problems. They're looking for it, and they're trying anything and everything, whether it's positive things or negative things. And so part of what we're hoping to do is partner with people and organizations and churches and anywhere that opens its doors to say there are other ways. Choose life. Choose things that are, one of the things in my studies for psychology, what sort of blew my mind, if you're depressed, the best thing for you to do is talk. Just talk about what you're feeling, and it begins to lift that like fog that lays over your life. And perfect? No. But as you begin to do that, you find solutions. So top 3 things are those simple things. And one of the other opportunities that God has given us is throughout the whole pandemic, we were able to offer prayer. And on Monday nights and on Monday mornings, we're in the building, in that resource room, and we offer prayer.
Is this not denominational?
Inter.
Yeah, anybody.
I would
We
say
don't-
interdenominational.
Interdenominational, okay.
You don't even have to be a person of faith.
Right.
But hey, life's going on and there's a mess and I need somebody to pray for me.
Okay.
So then they just come. And as long as they're okay with it, we're okay with it. Can I pray with you? Tell me what we need to pray about, I'll pray for you. Things like that. Simple things like we began walking around the community praying on Monday evenings all over the town. If we saw people outside, they'd say, hey, what are you doing? And we'd say, we're just walking and praying. Is there anything you need prayer for? Some people would be, yeah, some people, no, and that's okay. Just know we'll be walking if you need prayer. It's simple things that just allow us to reach out. And
there is one thing though that I think, I know you gave 3, but if there was one
One more.
if there was one more,
What are the top 4 issues?
Well, I would say, and this isn't just to Chautauqua County, I think this is people across the board, but one of the things that people are dying on the inside and they know this isn't working for them, And a lot of times they're maybe potentially afraid to reach out, maybe to like social services, because maybe if they have children or depending what's going on, they may be afraid of what are the ramifications if I really talk about what's going on.
Because they know that if someone they knew 20 years ago did that, the kids were taken away,
Right.
and the husband was locked up, and they never got to see the, it's all that hearsay and
Right.
garbage that's out there. It's just not true, most of
So,
it.
and
Right.
I would say that fear
Yeah.
of the unknown
Yeah.
is stopping an awful lot of people from being able to reach out. And so even right now, there have been a lot of development stuff that we have been into.
Yeah.
So the cafe, to get it sustainable, it took an awful lot of our time.
I would think so.
So now that now is becoming more sustainable, that gives us an opportunity to step out more, and like have conversations with you. But the other thing is that there are so many times that even within our community, they may know about us, they may have perceptions about us, they may see us as, oh, well, they wouldn't understand, or they've got that God stuff going on, But the important part is, so I think the thing that we're dealing with that would be a tough struggle is that we recognize and realize that what people are keeping in secret is killing them on the inside, and they're not doing okay. And being able to find a place where we're trying to look for a bridge and saying it's okay if you're not doing okay. We're not here to judge you. We want to walk with you.
Right.
And so I think but like I said, that's not just this area.
Yeah.
It's
People in general.
it's church
That's in
people.
general.
It's people of different socioeconomic. So this isn't just just low income or people who are being affected by, addictions across the board. I mean, it's working people, it's executive people, it's just people across the board.
I told you this was going to go fast. We got 2.5 minutes left.
I saw that.
Yeah. So, what are your future plans?
Well, we're working right now on remodeling a space so that we can provide crisis and transition housing
Ooh.
for people that just find life has become out of control. It's not long term, it would be short term, but it would be a place where, say there was a fire that happened and you lose your place, but hey, not everybody can take in a family. We have rooms that are being remodeled even as we speak to do some of that. And then you end up without a job, you end up homeless, you don't have, and you need to get life back on track. So we're creating, it's sort of, you mentioned the UCAN mission, it's sort of along the same lines.
I think people would be surprised to know how many people are one paycheck away of being homeless.
Correct.
Right?
Oh, way
Correct.
too many.
Right? And so I can easily see somebody says, I need someplace to hold up for at least a couple of weeks or something like that.
Right.
Cool.
And we found as pastors, when we were pastoring here, that was exactly, sometimes people just needed that extra opportunity, maybe a couple months, get a security deposit under their feet, but at the same time, connecting them with already services that could help them.
Right.
But the second part of what we want to eventually get to, separate from where we're at in the building, we'd like to, our phase 3 would be to get into long-term residential recovery, because they're just having that higher accountability, having someone walking with you, living with you, having that longer term, the chances for relapse and true transformation is just a lot higher.
Everything you said, I know to be true.
Yeah.
I just simply know to be true. Folks, it's been really very fine opportunity to sit with you. I'm in awe of you right now. Really am. 30 seconds. I always do that. 30 minutes, 30 seconds left. A website, phone number, anything you want to share with folks, this is your opportunity.
Well, our website is www.breathe, with an E on the end, life, westernnewyork.org.
All one word.
All one word.
But it's breathelifewny.org.
Yeah.
Telephone number 716-230-4033.
Okay. And you're at the St. Stephen's Café.
St.
Yes.
Stephen's
In
Cafe.
Brockton, New York.
2 West Main Street, right?
right.
You can't miss us right at the Arch.
Make me a promise. If you have certain events or things you want to announce, you let me know and I'll share it.
We
Absolutely.
will.
All right.
We definitely
Folks,
will.
I've had a
Thank
great
you so
conversation with Reverend Stewart Thompson and his wife Tammy. there with Breathe a Life of Western New York in Brockton. And thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you.
So hopefully we'll continue to hear good things from you. I'm Doc Hamels. That's a wrap. We're going to do this all again next week. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. Be smart. If you're drinking, get a designated driver. If you're wherever, just be safe, okay? Have a great weekend. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. Take care.
Thank you.
How easy was that?
That's right.
Great.